Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Grenada records its second COVID-19 related death. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Wednesday, 1st September 2021. Details when we return.
Hubbard's big promotion is back. Live free for 1 year. Spend $50 or more in any Hubbard's department and receive a chance to win big prizes every month. Property or vehicle insurance for 1 year. Free internet, cable and data for 1 year. Free fuel for 1 year. Free cooking gas for 1 year. Free electricity for 1 year. Free drinks for 1 year. Extra cash account and the big free groceries for 1 year. Promotion runs from April 1st to September 30th, 2021. Live free for 1 year with Hubbard's in association with Solgas, Flow, Grenadian General Insurance, Carib Brewery, Coca-Cola, Grenada Bottling Company, Grenlec, Communal Cooperative Credit Union, Dutch Lady Milk, Promo, Danny and Supreme. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. A woman in her 60s has died from complications of the dreaded coronavirus COVID-19, making her the first female to die from the coronavirus. The woman, who is the wife of a well-known pastor in Guelph, died on Monday evening at the General Hospital. The now deceased woman was not vaccinated. Close family members have confirmed that she has tested positive for COVID-19 via rapid test after she appeared to be somewhat ill and weak. She was admitted to the hospital only on Sunday. However, there are reports that one of her fellow worshippers is also positive. It is also confirmed that the husband of the deceased woman was called in by the hospital officials and was told of his wife's passing while he was on his way to the hospital. This is a developing story, and therefore we'll bring you more details as they come to hand. There have been fully vaccinated people who have become severely ill, and some have actually died from COVID-19, but those cases are few and far between. This from the Ministry of Health of Trinidad and Tobago on Monday, which gave a detailed breakdown of the hospitalization and mortality data for both vaccinated and unvaccinated people on Monday. TV6's Renessa Cutting has more.
As at the morning of August 30th, Trinidad and Tobago had recorded 3 COVID-19 deaths among the fully vaccinated population.
From May 9th, 2021, all the way to present. So the total number of deaths during that period would have been 1,068, and we would have had only 3 deaths in fully vaccinated individuals during that period. As I mentioned, that accounts for 0.3%. Therefore, not fully vaccinated persons dying would have been 99.7% of the persons. And again, those 3 people would have been cases that would have had comorbidities.
Over the last month, just over 100 persons have been admitted to the high dependency unit due to COVID-19 complications. And while a number of persons were partially vaccinated, even fewer were fully vaccinated.
If you look at the pie chart said fully vaccinated during that period. We would have had 1.9% fully vaccinated during that entire period. The rest of it, 98.1%, would have been not fully vaccinated, meaning unvaccinated. And it is broken down further in the table on the right, where you can see those who would have received the first dose, 19 persons, 17.9%. Second dose, we had 0 at that time. Unvaccinated, 85%. Not fully vaccinated, 98.1%. And fully vaccinated, 1.9%.
In looking at ICU admissions, the data is even more promising in favor of vaccinated persons.
We're seeing fully vaccinated accounting for only 0.6% of all the persons that would have been admitted to ICU between the period July 27th to present.
Questioned by TV6, the Ministry of Health officials said that while there are more unvaccinated persons than vaccinated persons in the population, the variances in those numbers do not make a significant impact on the data.
You want to find out what is the chance of any one individual in this country being infected, and what is the chance of a vaccinated or unvaccinated person being infected. We take both things to be the same, so they cancel each other out.
As such, the ministry says the data shows that only a very, very small percentage of fully vaccinated persons are vulnerable to COVID-19. Renessa Cutting, TV6 News.
Over in St. Lucia, our members of the Rastafarian community owed an apology over cannabis use. The landmark move by the SLP administration to decriminalize the possession of small amounts of the herb has resulted in calls for the state to disavow past actions which some activists claim discriminated against the Rastafarian community. Solange Alfred of HTS News Force reports.
Actions speak louder than words. Pro-cannabis law reformists are said to be buoyed by the planned milestone decriminalization of the possession of 30 grams of cannabis through the scheduled amendment this week of the Drugs Prevention and Misuse Bill. The deputy leader for the National Green Party and former president for the Ayanola Council for the Advancement of Rastafari, Aaron Alexander, has welcomed news of this development on the eve of a landmark sitting of Parliament.
The process was started by the former United Workers' Party administration, and it seems the Labour Party will not play political football with such an issue. Hence, they will move the process forward at tomorrow's sitting of the House.
Members of the House are set on Tuesday to debate the bill at the first working meeting of Parliament since the Philip J. Pierre administration assumed office in July. The law will be amended to allow the possession of a quantity of cannabis or cannabis resin from 15 grams to 30 grams. The legislation will exempt criminal liability for possession of less than 30 grams. According to reports, the legislative changes are part of a raft of grand overtures, including the repeal of statutes enacted over the past year, which some critics considered too draconian. The bill has also triggered calls for an apology to the Rastafarian community, for whom cannabis is a religious sacrament.
If this happens, we will say bravo, well done. We also fervently hope that there will be a formal and sincere apology to the Rastafari community, whom have endured the brunt of the prohibition law for over 50 years. The incarceration, the destruction of our families and communities, the seizing of our properties, the jail time, the exorbitant fees imposed on us for possession of small quantities of cannabis, even the killing of our members of our community.
Alexander wants the religious use of cannabis by Rastafarians to be upheld. ICA and its affiliates were in the process of filing a constitutional motion against the state over the use of the herb on religious grounds.
At this point, we do not know where this position now adopted by the government will leave our constitutional claim, which is before the High Courts concerning the cannabis issue. Notwithstanding that, we welcome such a move by the government. Finally, I offer an apology to the St. Lucia Labour Party when I said on a platform that a vote for the SLP would be a vote against cannabis. The actions being taken by this SLP government process will prove me wrong.
The amendment also includes provisions for cases involving juvenile offenders, as well as drug treatment programs, ostensibly for marijuana misuse disorder. Despite the revision, the new law will restrict the smoking of cannabis in public. Solange Alfred, HTS News Force.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. There is clear data showing the impact of the Delta variant of COVID-19 in fueling transmission in Antigua and Barbuda. Head of the laboratory at Sir Leicester Bird Medical Centre, Dr. Lester Simon, says this variant of concern is now the most dominant strain in Antigua and Barbuda.
The Health Ministry has reported close to 400 new COVID-19 cases between August 1 and 29. Just 2 months earlier, active cases in this country had fallen to 0. Head of the laboratory at Sir Leicester Bird Medical Centre, Dr. Lester Simon, says data show the Delta variant is driving the increase. The laboratory has sent over 60 samples to the Caribbean Public Health Agency for variant testing between October last year and August 13.
But of the 59 that were conclusive, 34 of them, or 58% of them, were Delta. And 20 or 34% of them were Alpha, with 3 and 2 and 5% being respectively Beta and Gamma.
So what does all this mean?
In simple language, not only are the 4 variants of concern here, but Delta has taken over Antigua and Barbuda.
Variants of concern are more transmissible and cause more severe disease than the original coronavirus first detected in Wuhan, China. Some strains have also developed new ways of evading the body's antibody response.
If you look here, you see what Beta is. Beta, and Beta is here, is a furthest remove from Wuhan as far as being able to be treated.
In terms of increased transmissibility, Dr. Simon says Delta produces a lot more viral particles and gets into cells easier than the wild type and other strains.
If you had 100 viral particles of the wild type, 10 of them were allowed to enter. For the Alpha, 50 of them, 50% were allowed to enter. And for the Delta, 75%.
The laboratory head says they've sent over 20 more samples to CARFA for variant testing last week. He believes the Delta variant will also dominate in those results. Jamie Giroche, ABS News.
Arguments started in Guyana's High Court in the case of the President and the Police Service Commission. Gord Mosley of News Source Guyana reports.
Oral arguments got underway this afternoon in the High Court in the application filed by the Attorney General Anil Nandlal to strike out President Irfan Ali from legal proceedings brought by the Police Service Commission. Lawyers from the two sides maintained their differing views throughout the arguments. During the arguments, the Attorney General said the Police Service Commission's naming of the President in its challenge is unprecedented, and he argued that precedents in relation to presidential immunity has been set in Guyana and across the Commonwealth. It is the contention of the Attorney General that naming the President in the proceedings is contrary to and in contravention of Article 182 and Section 10 of the State Liability Act, and contended also that the President has immunity under Article 182. Mr. Nandlal said his application should not be interpreted to mean that the President is above the law or immune from the challenge, but it simply means that the President cannot be named in the proceedings, but rather the Attorney General. The Attorney General said the President was discharging his duty under the Constitution when he suspended the Police Service Commission. He said the President's actions could be challenged, but not through the President directly. In reply, Attorney Selwyn Peters, who appeared on behalf of the Police Service Commission, maintained that the President is the proper and appropriate party to the proceedings and should remain part of the proceedings, pointing out that it was the President who suspended the Police Service Commission. Mr. Peters argued that such has never happened before, and the President, in the case, must be answerable for his actions. Attorney Peters said while he acknowledges that naming the President is unusual, he submits that the case is unprecedented because of the course of action taken by the President. Peters also contended that there is no risk in naming the President in the proceedings, and if he were part of the proceedings, that would not affect the presidency or his functions. But the Attorney General in his conclusion said he could not imagine a case where a sitting president is waiting on the corridors of the court to answer a judge for a decision that he made as president. Justice Gino Posol has set the 16th of September for the ruling on the matter.
Did you know that your friends and family can now shop at the Food Fair from anywhere in the world, and you can receive here in Grenada? The Food Fair and GrenadaMarket.com now make it possible through secure online shopping and personalized customer service. Simply send your loved ones a list of your preferred items or let them fill an online basket, and the items will be available for pickup or delivery. Visit GrenadaMarket.com or thefoodfair.gd today for more details. The new norm. Spread the news.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.